Having worked hard for her success, Diane was an executive in International Business Machines Corporation, IBM. She lived the dream life of many single women. They aspired to be like Diane, wishing they could exchange lives with her. But all that changed after the horrifying discovery on 16th November 2001. Today, when anyone thinks of Diane, they cannot help but shudder with fear at her unfortunate luck. Born and raised in New York, Diane was a child with self-determination. With good grades and constant effort, she secured a position at IBM and rose through the ranks to become an executive. Due to the nature of her work, Diane frequently traveled to different cities before she finally settled in Austin in 1996. After relocating to the IBM branch in Austin, she slowly established a life for herself there and made good friends. In 2000, Diane joined a dating website, hoping to meet a partner to settle down. Shortly after, she met her match, Dennis Conley, and the two got engaged after only 2 months of dating. Diane planned to sell her house and move in with her fiancé in Houston, Texas. She placed a for sale sign in her yard and eagerly waited for potential buyers to come and look at her house. Little did she know she was practically digging her grave. On 15th November 2001, Diane was working from home because of the storm when the doorbell rang in the evening. A man in his 40s had come to inspect the house for purchase. Excited, Diane let him in instantly and gave him a house tour. Towards the end, he expressed his appreciation for the place and told Diane he would like to visit again with his wife. That is when he would make the payment in cash. Overwhelmed by his favorable response, she offered to make tea for him. While busy in the kitchen on the house's first floor, she suddenly felt a shadow creep on her. Just as she turned her head to see what it was, the man put his hands around her neck and choked her unconscious. Then, he dragged her to the living room, where he sat on top of the fully clothed Diane and masturbated. As in the midst of him sexually satisfying himself, Diane slowly regained her senses. When she saw the man on top of her, she screamed in terror. She tried to get him off her, but he overpowered her and strangled her with a cord. Diane died slowly and painfully, with tears flowing down her cheeks. Before escaping, he stole her engagement ring worth $17,500 and other expensive jewelry with a sly smile. The next day, Diane failed to show up for a pre-scheduled work call in the morning. When her co-workers could not contact her, they requested the police check on her. The officers reached Diane's house at 5:30 p.m. that day. They kept knocking on her door but received no response. Then her neighbor, who also happened to be her realtor, opened her door for them. At first sight, everything seemed normal, with no indications of forced entry. But as they made their way to the first floor, they were shocked to see Diane's lifeless body lying face down on the carpet in the living room. She had ligature marks around her neck, implying that the perpetrator had strangled her. While searching the house, they found some expensive pieces of her jewelry missing, including the engagement ring, which had left an imprint on her finger. A towel with a hair strand was also found thrown on the couch. The autopsy confirmed their suspicions of strangulation as the cause of death. They estimated the time of death to be between 3 p.m. on 15th November and 3 a.m. on 16th November. Dennis was swiftly ruled out as a possible suspect since he was in Houston at the time of the murder. In their search for witnesses, the police went door to door in the neighborhood. While questioning the residents, the officers heard some unusual information from numerous people who had their houses on the market. Authorities found that on 15th November, a strange man had come knocking on neighbors' doors who had a for sale sign in their yards. He had introduced himself with different names to them and expressed interest in purchasing their property. All residents claimed that he gave off a creepy vibe. He had made a similar promise to them to pay in cash as to Diane, and told them he would visit again with his wife. Investigators created a composite sketch of the man and made it public. The whole town was swept in shock and grief at the news of Diane's murder. Her fiancé in Houston was heartbroken and immediately flew to Austin for her funeral. Meanwhile, tips began to come in. One woman called to report that a man who resembled the sketch had stopped by her house on 5th November with the same pretext as the others. But she had written down his vehicle's license plate number just in case. The police traced it to 44-year-old Patrick Russo, a church leader in Bastrop, Texas. Patrick's criminal record dated back to the 1990s, stating he had been arrested several times for assault on women, including choking a woman. Currently, he was released on parole for aggravated kidnapping. It seemed as if he perfectly fit the description of their suspect. On 21st November, police broke into Patrick's home and arrested him. He claimed to be in Bastrop on 15th November, but the investigators knew he was lying. His call records revealed that he was around Diane's neighborhood on the day she was murdered. Shortly after, further incriminating evidence appeared. The DNA found under Diane's fingernails and the hair strand collected from the towel recovered at the crime scene matched Patrick's DNA. It led them to search his computer, and they were in for a sickening surprise. Patrick was a member of necrobabes.com, an asphyxiation-type pornographic website. It provided erotic horror for adults by producing pictures and videos of usually naked women being strangled, smothered, hung, and drowned. The browser history showed that Patrick visited the website 2 days before he murdered Diane. Due to the substantial evidence gathered against him, Patrick was charged with Diane's murder in May 2002. Even though he continued to plead innocent, the jury found him guilty in February 2004, and he was punished with life imprisonment. The prosecution commented on Patrick's cruel nature. He's a predator, skilled at deceit and cunning and finding watering holes of potential victims. Today, Patrick remains imprisoned at the Thomas Gorey unit in Huntsville, Texas. He will not be eligible for parole until 2044.